Flight Mode 3, GPS Mode. Return to home.
Hi pilots, welcome to the second part of this video where I'm going to explain my Radio Master TX16S radio setup for the Goosky E2 GPS helicopter. This helicopter comes equipped stock with a Futaba SFHSS receiver. That means that if you own a multi-protocol radio like TX16S, for example, you can bind your radio directly to the E2 GPS helicopter without any modifications. The manual that this helicopter comes with, on the page 13, there's explanation for what each of the 8 channels does. So here is the channel mapping for this helicopter. But before we go into my radio setup, I have to mention that channel mapping for the first 4 channels depends on your multi-protocol module firmware. What does that means is that it's not the same for all radios. In my particular case, channel mapping on my radio is not the same as explained here. So channel mapping for the first 4 channels is not the same as explained in the manual. Let's see. To check what channel mapping your radio is using, you can check here. Go to System, go to Info, and Modules. And here you can see that my radio is using channel mapping TAER. Okay, so channel 1 is throttle, channel 2 is aileron, channel 3 is elevator, and channel 4 is rudder. But if you check the manual, you will see that the channel mapping in the manual is different than channel mapping in my radio. Channel mapping here is channel 1 is aileron, channel 2 is elevator, channel 3 throttle, and 4 rudder. That's not the same as in my radio. But the rest of the channel, that is channel 5, 6, 7, and 8, are the same in regards to channel mapping. That is important to say because you might get confused when watching my radio, because channel mapping might be different for the first 4 channels in your radio. Okay, now as I said, Goosky E2 GPS helicopter comes equipped with a Futaba SFHSS receiver. So to be able to bind your radio to the helicopter, you have to choose the appropriate protocol. So you have to go to Multi, choose Futaba protocol, and SFHSS subprotocol. In my case, I have to perform a radio frequency fine-tuning, and in my case, the optimal value was 18. It's important to perform a frequency fine-tuning because if you don't perform this, your range may not be as good as it can be. Now, I have a timer set to 8 minutes. And my switches. Okay, here we can see SF switch.
Throttle cut.
As you can hear, SF switch up
Throttle cut.
is throttle cut, so the motor won't start. You can use this in emergency cases also to stop the motor immediately.
Throttle cut.
Next, and SF switch controls channel 8,
Throttle cut.
as you can see.
Throttle cut.
Channel 8 in the manual is throttle lock. Okay. Next, we have here SB switch.
Return to home.
SB switch.
Return to home.
SB switch controls channel 7.
Return to home.
As you can see in the manual, channel 7 is smart return to home function, on or off. So, in my case, SB switch towards me
Return to
is
home.
return to home, and to this direction there's off. Even though this switch is 3-position switch, you only have 2 functions here: return to home,
Return
on
to home.
or off. And during my flight test, I saw that this
Return to
function
home.
only works if you fly in GPS mode.
Attitude mode.
Otherwise, the helicopter, if you are not in GPS mode,
Attitude
smart return to home
Return to home.
function won't work. So that's important to know. Next, we have SC switch, a 3-position switch for 3 different modes. SC switch totally up is attitude mode. So SC switch controls channel 5. I hope you can see here.
Attitude mode.
Channel
GPS
5.
mode. Altitude hold.
Okay.
Attitude mode.
So SC switch controls cycles through 3 different flight modes. We have GPS mode when SC switch is in this position. Then we have vision mode in the middle.
Altitude hold.
I labeled it as altitude hold, but this means vision mode. Then we have attitude mode. So in GPS mode, the helicopter will hold its position perfectly. Okay. In vision mode, helicopter will also hold its position, but without needing a GPS lock. So in vision mode, you would fly indoors, for example, where you don't have a GPS lock. In attitude mode, you still have LiDAR on, so the helicopter will still hold its altitude, but it will drift. The wind will blow the helicopter around, because the optical flow sensor doesn't work in attitude mode. So attitude mode is basically just a 6G mode. There's something else I have to say. In the first part of the video, you can saw that I took off in vision mode. And so I started the helicopter and I immediately pushed the throttle stick all the way up. And you can saw in the video that the helicopter raised, but not a lot, just a few meters. above the ground. No matter if the throttle stick was at 100%, in vision mode, helicopter took just a few meters above the ground. But then I switched from vision mode to GPS mode, and you saw that when I switched from vision to GPS mode, the helicopter started to gain altitude again. Because in GPS mode, and I believe in attitude mode also, the helicopter doesn't have any limits. It can rise much higher than in vision mode. Only vision mode is limited, height limited. Now, I will show you now. I have set up 3 flight modes.
Flight mode 2, flight mode 1.
What these 3 flight modes do is they change the speed of the helicopter by limiting swash plate deflections. So if I push, let's say, in this direction, elevator and aileron stick to the max. In flight mode 1, you can see it goes only to 80%. In flight mode 2, aileron and elevator goes max to 90%. And in flight mode 3, they go to 100%. You see, and by doing this, you can fly, you can change the speed of the helicopter. These flight modes also apply to the rudder outputs. As you can see, flight mode 1, 90%, flight mode 2, 95%, and flight mode 3, 100% rudder output. When you start the helicopter, as you know, by doing this. Now, if you are going to set up your radio according to mine with different flight modes, when you perform a takeoff, put your stick to GPS mode and your flight mode to flight mode 3. In this case, you will have 100% travels, and this enables you a reliable motor startup. If you are not in flight mode 3, the control outputs might be too low for your helicopter to start reliably. So how I have programmed different flight modes, you see, you just have to copy your, for example, aileron mix. You have to copy it and then insert after. And then you have to repeat this 2 times. So you have three options here, and then you assign a switch. For flight mode 1, SD switch is totally up.
Flight mode 2,
and
flight mode 2,
in flight mode 1, you said I have set the total maximum output for the aileron 80%, and we can go here to channel to flight mode 2,
flight mode 2,
SD switch at the center, maximum output 90%, you see, and flight mode 3 as
Flight
the
mode
switch
3.
down with 100%. So I have done this for channel 2, that is aileron, channel 3 elevator, and channel 4 rudder. Okay. I also had to reverse some channels. In my case, I had to reverse channel 2, that is aileron. I had to reverse it, you can see here. I had to reverse channel 4, that is rudder also. So we have, you can see here inverted, that is reversed. And I also reversed channel 5. Channel 5 is flight modes.
Attitude mode.
And channel 7. So these channels had to be reversed in my case. So you can see channel 4 in my case is rudder. Channel throttle or collective stick controls in my case channel 1 and channel 6. Aileron channel 2, elevator channel 3. But channel mapping, as I said, for my first 4 channels might be different than in your radio. That depends on your multi-protocol firmware version. In my case, as I said, is TAER, but in your case, it might be different. So you have to program your radio according to that. The easiest option for you is to use the same channel mapping as explained in the manual. That is channel mapping AETR. Okay, guys, I know that I'm not the best in explaining things in English, but hey, still, I have done this. I hope that you get some help from this, and it is important, you know, that when you are programming your multi-protocol radio for your Goosky E2 helicopter or any other helicopter, you really have to you really have to put off all the blades from your helicopter because it can be really dangerous. Okay, guys, that's all for this video. I wish you a nice day. Bye.